Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday morning Mortgage Coach call. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific, we're here, and we've been doing this for 7 years. Over 400 interviews with amazing leaders like Mr. Bill Hart. Bill, thanks for joining us today, brother.
My pleasure, man. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, I don't even know how many times you've been in a Mortgage Coach call or you've created a video. It's been a lot, and we're grateful for all your leadership, man.
My pleasure. It's easy to do when you believe in something and you like the company's leadership, all of which applies to Mortgage Coach.
Right on, right on. Well, hey, I'm going to cover just some housekeeping. Feel free to add some color as I go through a few thoughts I want to share. I do want to remind everybody for the first 3 weeks of every month, every single day, we're providing training. So there's a beginning course in the morning, 8 o'clock Pacific, and a more advanced intermediate classes in the afternoon. So just a reminder, while we've got our Tuesday leadership call, we've got a Thursday group training call, and on Fridays we're doing Mortgage Coach Beginners. Every single day you can learn something new at Mortgage Coach. If you're not getting these emails, that means you probably have us blocked in your spam filter. Make sure you're getting these emails and you know about these classes so that you can attend the ones that are relevant to you. Also, it's been just a fantastic month already. We've had some great leaders, Scott Cummings, Ann Laura. We've got Bill Hart today. Tomorrow, I'm doing an interview with Simon Sinek. Again, I'll provide a little more color on that in a minute, but really excited about it. And then we're closing out the month next week with Craig, a superstar producer, leader of a great branch. He's going to focus on how he's getting business from financial advisors. But today's about Bill Hart. We're gonna talk about video. We're gonna talk about mobile, and Bill has a little bit of a surprise. For the first half of the call, I'm not gonna really tell you what he's gonna do, but let's just say it's the opposite of video and mobile. So to set the table, I want to make sure everybody has signed up for this Simon Sinek call, and please share it. Please share it with other peers in your office. This is a call to share with your realtors. Every mortgage coach has something in common, and that is that you're not playing at the bare minimum standards. You're not here to quote rates. You would not use Mortgage Coach if all you want to do is provide a fee worksheet and quote rates to a family. So you all have that in common. If you have not watched the Simon Sinek, 15, 18-minute video, it's a game changer, and it really is a prerequisite for the interview. The conversation I'm going to have tomorrow assumes that you have watched this video, you know who Simon Sinek is, you understand the power of why. I am not going to, start the call with, Simon, why does why matter? That's not going to be the conversation we're going to have. Also, I asked every Mortgage Coach member on this call, if you haven't watched this interview I did with Ryan Hills last week, it was released on Monday, it's just 5 minutes. Watch this, a little bit of a backstory on Mortgage Coach. What is our why? We believe that the American dream isn't just owning a home, it's owning a home free and clear without debt. And for all those strategic planning folks, which I have nothing wrong with, Rick Edelman makes lots of sense, it's having enough money to where paying off your home is a strategic financial planning decision. So it's financial freedom. What is Mortgage Coach? Or how do we do that? The way, we help families achieve the American dream by making sure every family has loan options, transparency, and clarity on how to select the right loan to become debt-free. And what do we do? Mortgage Coach is reinventing how families get into debt with mobile experiences that help mortgage professionals make something complex, super simple, and of course, mobile. We're turning that traditional rate quote into a consumer experience that educates family how to properly use mortgage debt to achieve the American dream of debt-free homeownership. So part of preparing for this interview with Simon was just getting crystal clear on, what is our why, what is our how, and what is our what. Bill, before I go on, because you know us so well, and you've known me for probably 20 years. We've been friends for at least 10 of those years and known each other well. Any comments between Simon Sinek and our why, how, and what?
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave. Coincidentally, maybe it's not a coincidence, but my very favorite TED Talk ever is Simon's talk with 24 million views, I think. There's a there's a reason for that. And, for anybody that knows Building Champions, and you know us as a coaching organization, at the end of the day, we are not just skill and execution on the mortgage side at all. We have large corporate clients. Our number one client is Chick-fil-A. We've just brought on an enormous client in Daimler. And I'm sort of the mortgage guy, right? There's a couple of us that work largely in the mortgage industry. For me, it's all mortgage. But yeah, man, I'm a huge fan of Simon, and one of the things that at Building Champions we really focus on is trying to help a client get clear on their why. And in the mortgage industry, if we're really honest, the vast majority of people got into the mortgage business because it was a highly profitable potential without an advanced degree. If we're really just transparent, that's for the most part what brought people in. But in coaching, one of the things that we really focus on, Dave, is trying to help people get to that why. Just as you beautifully articulated what yours is with Mortgage Coach, I would challenge every single person on the call right now to really start teeing up that conversation so that tomorrow when you hear Simon, and if you watch that video with Ryan as instructed, which by the way was beautiful. I loved the transparency, in that video. I don't know Ryan, but I know you, and I've watched a number of his videos, and I'm not sure which one he was referring to. That's another conversation, I'm sure. But to bring it to a point where the reason that I do what I do is brought into question, that's really, I think, what it comes down to. And so if you lead with that, as Simon talks about, using Apple as an example, a phenomenal example, it will change the way that you move through your days and the way that you wake up and engage in the morning. So anyway, and I do have a slide actually once we flip over to my deck that will sort of tie my why into this conversation, Dave. But yeah, man, that's a huge part of what we focus on at Building Champions.
Well, this week is Mortgage Coach Why Week, so I collect Mortgage Coach Whys. I have hundreds of them. We have hundreds of videos where members have shared why are they a member of Mortgage Coach? Why do they deliver a total cost analysis to every family? So if you've sent me yours before, you don't have to resend it, but if you haven't and you are personally clear on it, send them to me. Dave at Mortgage Coach would love to know why are you on the Mortgage Coach team? Why do you believe in using our tools to deliver experiences to family? So this week, I think it's really important that we go deep on every family deserves to know the total cost over time. Not only is it just the right thing to do for families, it's becoming a requirement that you're going to have to start showing every family the cost over 5 years. That's a CFPB TRID requirement. Start doing it now if you're not doing it, and do it in a way that's more strategic. So Bill, let's focus on you. I know when we were preparing for this, you had mentioned a web page and a video that shares a little bit more about your why. So, if you want to provide some color around that before we get into, I'm not even going to steal the thunder to what the first, 15 minutes is going to be on this call. But anything you want to share about your why? Also, I want to make sure we let everybody know about the experience that's coming, because there's no better venue or opportunity to drill down on that. But anything you want to share on your why before we kick things off?
Yeah, man, thank you. And that's the slide I was referring to. Thanks for throwing that in there. I don't know if you can scroll down if you've got the bottom part of that page, and if you don't, I'll show it. But, our team, a young millennial-aged marketing team, challenged us recently as coaches and said, we've got this, cheesy posed picture of you with a professional photographer and then your bio, and it's blah, 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 blah. One of the things that I've learned as a presenter, Dave, and you know this, is that if you hand a 3-paragraph intro to the person that's going to introduce you before your talk, the audience doesn't care. They don't care at all. What I generally tell people is, tell them I'm a coach, tell them I've interviewed over 200 top agents, and we're going to have a good time. They don't care about the pedigree. And so our marketing team said, we're going to create portfolios for you. So if you you don't have that page, Dave, I can. Yeah, there you go.
Well, no, I'm gonna get it. Just give me a second.
Yeah,
here.
no sweat. But what they said is rather than a cheesy, static kind of, profile page, and I want to challenge you guys to be thinking about this as well. Some of you can control it, some of you can't. Maybe you can do it in social, maybe you can do it in a blog page or whatever it might be. But what Dave's bringing up here is this is our corporate page, and then when you go to who we are and our coaches, you'll scroll through and it shows all the coaches. And I think we've only done 2 of us, just Daniel and I so far. But what you'll see is when you click on that page, there's that picture of me that photograph, by the way, at the top was a coaches summit. We were at Daniel Harkavy's house in Oregon, cold day, otherwise I'm not going to be wearing a scarf. And that's a candid shot, right? That's not a cheesy canned shot. Now down below that.
Wait a minute, Bill. I see you wearing a scarf on hot days just to look cool. So.
Is it working?
Yeah, right.
And then down below there, my marketing team asked me for a quote, and I said, well, like my favorite quote, like a Jim Rohn quote or a quote from me? Well, it'd be great if it was from you. And I just said, purpose brings clarity, and clarity defines actions. And as a coach, that's sort of something that I live by with all of my clients, and it's what you'll hear Simon talking about tomorrow. Your why creates your purpose creates clarity, and clarity defines your actions, meaning of the things that I could be doing today, what's the thing that I'm going to do? The other thing circled around here is you'll see a picture there on the left side of my son and I having finished a Spartan sprint. Down below that is a video blog, and if you click on that, you don't have to click on it, but if you're live and you want to click on it, it'll play a video and it'll just give you a rough idea of, what I do with my blog. That's at coachbillhart.com. If we're not connected there, let's make sure that we get connected. Next to that are my favorite posts. There's a picture of me by an American flag there. If you don't know me, you don't know that I'm a patriot. If you do know me, there's no question in your mind. And then up at the top, there's a little sample of a webinar and some speaking engagements, and then Tony and I up there in San Francisco with a leather jacket and a cap on, a very gracious quote by Bob Bodine, who wrote The Power of Why. So the point simply is that what our marketing team decided, this is me speaking at the experience there. And then the lower right, I guess, Dave, if we can just show that, the areas of expertise for me would be accountability, technology trends, leadership, referral business, performance, and supporting our troops, And so the idea behind that is, who is this guy, right? What does he believe from his core? What's he about? Instead of just that text at the bottom, there's all those videos and photographs to give you an idea of who I'm about, who I am and what I'm about. So I just wanted you to see that, because that directly relates to what you're going to hear Simon talking about tomorrow. And as you view Ryan's video in preparation for that, I think you're going to hear a very transparent conversation about what's important to him. And I want to challenge each of you to really enter into that dialogue tomorrow with a new sense of kind of purpose and excitement, I hope, around finding, clarifying, and deciding what your why is. Now, all of that said, Dave, as you teased it, and I'm assuming my screen is up now, right?
Yep, we see your screen.
For those of you that don't know, that is an older, gosh, is that a Charger or a Challenger? I think it's a Charger. 1960s era, that would have been my era. And as fired up as I am about technology, and if you know me, you know I am a huge believer in old school. And so this segment, I just want to call Old School Rocks, because I think it does. For those of you that I coach, you know this, because we probably had this conversation. For those of you that I don't coach, here's where I'm coming from with this. My belief is that technology can actually be a limiter for us. In other words, at any given time, this black screen that I'm holding in my hand, or the one that I'm staring at right now, only has the opportunity to show me one screen at a time. Now, many of you, of course, are sitting now at your office with multiple monitors, and more power to you. That's fantastic. I'd love to know who has more than 3. There's probably some of you out there. But there's still only so many things that I can look at. And so one of the things that I've learned as a coach is the more that we can find new venues for you and new ways to be able to sort of track and so forth, the better. So let me give you some examples of this. One of the things that I am a huge fan of, is my video still up, Dave? I can't tell.
Yeah, we still see your video. I went down just because I wanted to make sure the spotlight was on you. But
all good,
rock
brother.
it out.
I just want to know that they can see what I'm holding up here. So this is a journal that I bought probably 10 years ago. It's belting leather. It's not made anymore, sadly, by the company that I bought it from. And the reason that I love it is, as much as I'm struggling getting this pen out, it seals with pen loops. And when I found out they were going out of business, because if you can see that, it's a spiral-bound refill, right? So that the journal is really never done. I just keep getting refills. When they went out of business, I bought 30 refills. So I think I'm good for the rest of my life with this until the point where I have no idea what this is, and I probably won't be journaling at that point. But there's something about the joy of journaling. If you've heard Jim Rohn talk about this, he's got a whole series on this where he talks about journaling. I just hung up with a client in Northern California who may be on this call, and we just had a conversation about a gratitude journal. You know, I think this was popularized by Oprah a few years ago, and a number of people really have taken off on this. And particularly in our business, when things get highly stressful, it's a great idea to journal around the things that you could be grateful for. Another great use of journaling is, what did I learn from the day? What went right? What went wrong? What are the lessons that I'm taking forward? You could do it in Evernote. You could do it in Outlook. You could do it in Notes. But there's something about this that when you're doing it physically, there's a tactile engagement that's just more engaging for most people. Now, I will add, not everybody. Dave, here's something I learned a long time ago, and you'll appreciate this. When I first got fired up about getting things done, GTD, David Allen's book, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, I'm going to guess this was 15 years ago or so. And at the time, I was using a Franklin planner. I want you to picture this. Inside the front cover of the Franklin planner was a piece a molded piece that held my Palm Pilot. Imagine this. What they're doing is they're introducing, right, this was the term PDA. For those of you that have never heard this before, PDA was a personal digital assistant. It was before BlackBerries and before iPhones, right? We were all using, what, StarText, Dave, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I remember I had the big battery phone before that, the car battery.
The brick, right? No doubt. So you would open up your Franklin planner, before it was Franklin Covey, you'd open up your Franklin planner, and inside there was this molded page that your Palm Pilot went into, which is hysterical because that was where you were managing your calendar and your tasks and your to-dos. Here's what I figured out as a coach. I got so fired up about technology, I judged everyone and thought every single one of my clients has to do better with technology. What I learned was that's not necessarily the case. It depends on the person and it depends on the application. And as we're going to talk about in a few moments, the last thing I would want to do right now would be, in terms of you working with your borrowers, be a proponent of old school and using a yellow pad. That's the last thing that you should be doing. That's the whole reason that we want you to use video with your TCAs, and we're going to dig into that in great depth. Right now, I'm talking more about you at a personal level and the things that you do. The other thing that I realize is there's a place for this idea of a planner with color. And if you haven't checked out Passion Planner, www.passionplanner.com, this is an example of it. And I'm always envious of somebody who's this neat with their writing and they can use the colors and so forth. But if you don't know the story, this is a 20-something-year-old woman who had just graduated from UCLA, and she had sort of created this ad hoc version of her schedule as a student. And it began to catch on. And the reason it's called the Passion Planner is that in the front section, she writes out essentially her life plan, her goals, her objectives, the things that are important to her. And as you look through this, you can see there's a personal to-do list, there's a work to-do list. Over on the right side there's notes, you can draw things, you've got your whole week, and it's laid out in 2 different sizes. It's physically, it looks like we in this country pronounce it moleskin. It's actually an Italian word, moleskine. I know, it sounds funky, but there you go. It's a moleskin notebook, right, with the little flap that seals over it. Hang on a second. Let me just show you mine. So this is what that looks like. And as you can see, all I've done here is I've just added some colored tabs, right, for the month so I can see those. But it is a beautiful tool. And for me, this is why I think old school rocks. If my calendar isn't physically visible to me in some fashion, I kind of lose track of where I am. So I need to see it in something like that. Gary Keller told me years ago, I didn't take a picture of this one, Dave, but Gary Keller told me years ago in a TalkJet interview, he said, if you plan out your year with all of the vacations that you're going to plan, 3-day weekends you're going to take, business trips you're going to go on that you might tie in an extra day or two, 3-day weekends, you know, kids camps, all the things that you know about personally, if you put all those things into an annual calendar, then all you have left to do is work. What an amazing approach, right? This is like saying, I pay all my bills, and at the end of the month, whatever's left over, I save. No, you pay yourself off the top, and it's the same with your time. So one of the things that I took from Gary Keller's conversation is every year now, I buy I think it's a 3x4 foot, might be 2x3, laminated annual calendar. We put it on the back of a door in our kitchen. So that door is always open between the kitchen and the dining room. It's never closed. Nobody ever sees it. But it's color-coded, and Tony and I can go look at it, and we can look at through the course of the year, where are we, what's going on? Old school rocks. The other thing that I've decided is, for me, and I can't even really explain it to you, I've got a thing about blue ink. I love blue ink. I love blue ink as a rollerball or as a gel pen. For me, it is, as you can see in this example here, it's more artistic, it's more fun for me to make notes with. Black ink, I think, just becomes kind of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with black ink on it, and it's okay, but blue to me adds personality, old school rocks. And then, you know, they say that the best camera is the one that you have with you, and by far, the most pictures I take are with this camera. But what I've realized is there's something, and I'm going to go off camera again here because I'm surrounded by my stuff, right? So hang on just a quick second here. Here's what you guys need to know about me. I have been into photography for 30 years. And I just recently got this Sony A6000, and I don't know if you can see this little leather.
I checked that one out recently, Bill. It's an awesome camera.
It is such a phenomenal camera. It is a mirrorless camera, so it's significantly smaller than a DSLR. Has much more functionality. It's a ridiculously fantastic camera. But what I know is what I can do with a more, even though that's a modern version of an old school camera, there's something about that. There's something about being able to frame a photograph and dedicate it versus what really Instagram, if you think about it as an app, Instagram is the app that changed the way that we all handle photographs. Dave, you're fantastic at this. The one that you posted this morning of you with the MacBook at the coffee shop with that amazing cup of coffee, by the way.
Did that look nice?
Is killer. I mean, it's killer. So for me, old school rocks. And I just want to encourage all of you to think in terms of, particularly this application, goal tracking. If your goals are only available in a spreadsheet or a report from your CRM or whatever your company has available, what I know as a coach, you can tell me different, but what I know as a coach, having about 20,000 hours in this chair, is you're not looking at it enough. And what I know, as surely as the sun will set in the west, is that if you have it visible, you're more likely to track it. So on the left side there, this is a realtor, Brett Tanner in Phoenix, Arizona, and this was years ago, but it's such a great example. He wanted 400 listings and 300 sales for the year. And this is the one on the left side there with color. And so what he did was, you can see it's behind a door, right, next to a file cabinet. This is not a very exciting office. This is a guy doing 300 or 400 units a year. Are you kidding me? But this was behind a door, and his assistant would come in and cut out that little red arrow and then put numbers on it. And so at key moments and key measurement points, those would go in. So at any point when he brought his team into his office, everybody knew where they were. Over on the right side, I didn't ask this client if I could use this, but this is as simple as it gets. This is current right now. He just showed me this a couple of days ago. He took a whiteboard, mounted it vertically, and he's got his goal, right, to 90 units, 2015 goal, 90 units. I need 2 leads a day. Folks, I'm going to lean in here for emphasis. If you track your leads, everything else will take care of itself. Here's what we've done as an industry, Dave, and I just find it interesting. As an industry, we track fundings. Makes sense. That's where the revenue comes from. But before we have fundings, we have applications. And unless you're having 100% pull rate, not all your applications fund. And before we have an application, we have a lead. However you define it. It could be a credit pull. You describe it as you need to. It doesn't really matter. But if you're not tracking your leads and where your leads are coming from on a regular basis, dude, I don't care how often the weeds you get with tracking down Zillow or VA loans or Yelp reviews or lunch and learns in real estate offices. If you're not tracking your leads, this business looks like this. Baby needs new shoes, right? You're throwing dice onto a crap table. If you track your leads, your business becomes much more predictable. And in my opinion, if you do it in an old school fashion like this, you're much more likely to see it. If you're in an office where it's tough to do it on the back of a door. Client never needs to see it. If that doesn't work, put it in a break room. Old school rocks. So there you go, Dave. There's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's a great story, and it does a great job of setting the table for the conversation that we're all here to have, which is video. You know, why should you use video more often? How can you use video more often? So first of all, Bill, if you could confirm that you can see my screen here, and do you see it, by the way?
I do.
Okay, let me get one thing set up here. Put it in presentation mode. So, you know, the first thing I have been telling, you know, and sharing with Mortgage Coach members for a long, long time is it starts with your why. If you're going to use Mortgage Coach and you've become a member, I have found that the loan officers that use Mortgage Coach with every single family are the ones that have a very clear why they use Mortgage Coach with every family. And so as we really peel back the onion on the conversation I want to have today, you know, what Bill talked about, there's a time not to use technology, but when it comes to delivering not just price, not just rates and fees to a family, but helping them make an informed decision, here at Mortgage Coach, we're all about advice. We're all about making sure that you're not there to take an application. Yes, that is part of the process, but you're there to deliver an experience. And part of that is education. We believe that every single time a family gets into mortgage debt, they should have options. One option versus another. Now that could be as simple as points versus no points, 30-year versus 5, FHA versus conventional, single premium MI versus, you know, monthly MI. Whatever it is, part of the education process, even if the family says, I'll do whatever you say, you still should provide them with options so that they feel part of the process and they become educated around fiscal literacy and debt management. Now, we've always believed in cost over time. Even if you can just quote a rate, say, here's your rate, here's your payment, you want to get going? And they say yes, we don't believe that that's enough. We believe options, cost over time, you know, and by the way, the cost, the time that's relevant to them. If it's a military family, they don't want to know what the cost is over 7 years. They're going to be worried about getting transferred in 2 years. And they're going to want to know, am I going to be landlocked? You know, am I going to be in a position where I can't sell the home? So most military families, they want to look at the cost over 2 to 3 years over the time where they're risking, you know, being transferred, redeployed. So again, if it's a first-time home buyer, they don't really want to know what the cost is over 15 years. They probably do want to know over 5 years. That's when they're going to be positioned to move up. And again, if it's someone who's moving into a school district and their kids are starting grade school, they're probably going to want 7 years. You know, they're going to want a longer period of time. So whatever that relevant time is. And then the other cornerstone is if you're going to get into mortgage debt, let's intentionally think around how am I going to get out of debt faster. And this infographic that our marketing team put together does a great job of illustrating that $150 a month saves a lot of money over the life of the loan, and could help a family become debt-free 7 years earlier, almost 8 years earlier. So again, debt-free faster. So Mortgage Coach members, cornerstones of our values, of our why, options, cost over time, how can you be debt-free faster? And by the way, when you get really good at this is not a 20-minute conversation. This is a 1 to 5 minute conversation. Now, today's call is about video. So because we all know that we don't get to meet with every single person involved in this decision. You know, we might meet with the husband, we didn't meet with the wife. And we certainly don't usually get to talk to the father-in-law that's loaning the down payment, or the buddy at work that's an advisor that we don't even know that's an advisor, but he's bought 20 homes, and he's kind of trying to say you should use my loan person. You never get to talk to that person. So with video, the same voicemail that you're leaving to the husband, let's say you talk to the husband, you are adding to a video. And then mobile. You know, the concept, we all have one of these in our back pocket. Our clients all have one of these. So the concept of options, cost over time, debt-free strategy, right here, it makes sense, you know. And so I want to make sure everybody understands what Bill and I are talking about. We're talking about humanizing and personalizing with a mortgage coach video. So now, Bill, again, you've been just a tremendous leader. I mean, I don't even know the number of people that you've referred to us. Obviously, some cornerstone referrals like Josh Meadows, where, you know, we tried to get Josh on Mortgage Coach for years, and you finally got him with the Mortgage Coach habit. Before we get in and we get a little more tactical, if you could just provide, you know, some of your perspective on what I just shared and how important that is from your perspective as a coach.
Yeah, so I think it's huge, and you know, for you guys that don't know me, I don't know how you would discern this. Like, well, of course, this guy is going to, you know, sing the praises of the host company here. But if you do know me, and I'll just explain to you kind of how I feel about this. I've always felt like as a coach, I need to sort of be Switzerland. I need to be a little bit neutral, right? So that I derive no income from any referrals that I make ever. I need to keep my hands clean of that, right? But I have known Dave for about 20 years, and I do think we've been friends for probably the last 10. At least I hope it wasn't the first 10. That would be awkward, right? And I'm just a fan, and I tell everybody that. I coach Steve Harney with Keeping Current Matters, and I was just singing your praises the other day, Dave, that I know that you guys are doing some things together, and he's providing content for some of your calls on a monthly basis. And, you know, he sort of looks to me as sort of a, I don't know, an ambassador into the mortgage industry. And, you know, Dave Savage is one of the guys that I've just always said he's always managed to keep himself sort of autonomous and driven by bringing value to the loan originator and ultimately to the borrower and via the realtor, right? If we can look at that typically at that typical scenario. So, dude, I am a fan. And if we went back and we went through Coach Builder, our CRM, and you could look at the number of action plans that I've given, which said, Master Mortgage Coach, send me a TCA. I mean, you'd be amazed, because I am such a believer in this that if I got back into the business today, if coaching didn't work out and suddenly I had to go back and generate a living in the mortgage industry, this is absolutely the #1 thing that I would do, Dave, and I just believe that with all my heart and soul. So, yeah, man, you guys just need to hear from me as a coach who spends time with people, typically 12 coaching sessions a day, Monday through Wednesday. I've done this for the last 12 years. This kind of thing that, as I put it, now forgive me because I'm going to talk as a sales coach here for a moment. Dave, here's what I see that it does. It sets a hook, right? Or it puts an IV into the arm of the borrower, so that if you look at what does a conversation look like with you as a mortgage professional versus a conversation with somebody at a retail bricks and mortar bank where they just happen to walk in and they see a sign and they go in and start a conversation, or they use Quicken software and they call Quicken and they're talking to somebody in a call center who's reading from a script. What separates those conversations? And I'm going to suggest to you that what Dave and his team have put together here with Mortgage Coach Edge, and particularly the mobile ability to do so. Man, I just think it's a game changer, you guys. And video, Dave and I we can take off on that path now, but I am such a believer in video. This all started, if I could pull the book off the shelf over here, it was probably 5 years ago. I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crush It. By the way, follow Gary V if you want to be at the cutting edge, laced with some profanity, of what's going on in social right now. Gary was the guy that got me focused on video, and I've done an okay job. I've done an adequate job of creating a lot of video over the years, but it has changed my business. It's changed the way that I am perceived in the industry. It's allowed me to get a book written, which we're shopping publishers for right now. And Dave, it's allowing me, as I told you the other day, to throttle back on the number of one-on-one coaching that I'm going to be doing, and more speaking, more creation of intellectual property, more working with corporate clients and their executive teams, in large part because of video. And I haven't been great at it. I've just done more than most people. So I'm a huge believer in video. If I can separate just video from Mortgage Coach Edge, game changer.
So let's do this. I mean, part of what I want to do, this conversation with Bill is structured around, hey, old school is great. And there are, as Bill put, some context and some applications where we need to get away from this. For instance, when we're hanging out with our kids and we're doing family time, not the time to be a technology leader. Again, personally, I like to scribe, as Hal Elrod puts, the morning rituals. I like to do it in Evernote. So this is just not liberating to me, mainly because I'm dyslexic and have ADD, and my own spelling errors drive me crazy. So to be able to type and write is confidence building. But whatever it is, find out what works for you. But here's another why everybody needs to embrace video. When you look at what's happening from a compliance standpoint, we've interviewed Mitch Kiter, 4, maybe 5 times lately. What the CFPB wants, and by the way, not what they want, what they're going to get from our industry is a greater level of transparency and consumer understanding. And when you look at the number of steps that are in a loan process, the number of milestones, the amount of woman hours that you're spending on a mortgage, these are the milestones. While different teams may have a unique mortgage process that varies slightly, at the end of the day, there's 15 milestones. There are 12 steps to doing a loan. And again, it may vary from team to team, producer to producer. There are some nuances, but on average, it's 5 hours. It's going to take you guys 5 hours from first conversation to close a loan. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 20. You know what I'm talking about, but it's a long time. And so here's the question. Is TRID going to reduce the amount of time it takes? When you look at, the initial conversation, you look at the disclosures that take place through change of circumstance, you look at how there's a new level of diligence around what you quote, how you quote. I mean, there are guidelines that tell you the pre-LE, what it needs to look like. So if Mortgage Coach made sense a year ago, 6 months ago, it makes 10 times more sense today and to create a video. So I want to build this why a little bit more, and then Bill and I are going to get very tactical on what is a great Mortgage Coach TCA video. But Bill, first of all, kind of going through that, I haven't taken you through this conversation before. How much time do you think, again, you don't know TRID in detail, at least I'm assuming that you don't, but how much time do you think it will increase the process? Just a guess.
I mean, it's a total guess, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be an additional hour. It would have to be.
I've asked the C-suite, I've asked teams that really get detailed on their process. No one has told me less than 20%. Well, by the way, I did have one person, I don't think it's going to change the time that much. But by the way, after we really peel back the onion and we look at how loan officers quote rates, take apps, deliver information, it's going to add at least an hour. And some think it's going to add up to 40%, 2 hours. So it's a lot. So if we know that, and we know that how we communicate with the borrower and the realtor is more important than ever, how we set expectations, how we deliver rates and fees, and we also know that how we communicate with realtors we're gonna have to have an even closer relationship. We're gonna have more conversations with them. You know, there's just gonna be more conversations, especially for the first 90 days. And we know that we have to add total cost to the borrower conversation. We know we need to add tip, which, by the way, in case you guys didn't see it, it's not a pretty number. I mean, it looks like getting a loan is like borrowing money from the mob. So we know this is part of the borrower conversation. Here's the deal. Do you want to do it like this? You know, do you want to do it in emails, or do you want to do it like this? And so let's start getting really tactical on video. At Mortgage Coach, one of the things that we did to prepare the Mortgage Coach team to create videos is we made it on your mobile. So up in the upper left-hand corner of your mobile app. So Bill, I'm teaching you right now too.
Love it, man.
You know, you log in to what we call Mortgage Coach Pro, and you were able to actually create a video on your mobile phone. You click a client profile, you click a client, you click the video button, and boom, you are, I mean, just so you guys can see how quick and easy, oh, I turned my phone on. I'll turn my phone back on. I didn't want to get bothered. So in a minute, I will show this. You can also drive Edge Live. So, you know, you can send a link to a family on your mobile device, drive Edge Live. So for every Mortgage Coach member, part of my goal in this call is to increase your why so that you guys actually do what you know you should be doing and what you want to do. I know there's a couple hundred people that have been on this call right now. I'm not going to push the poll because I know that if I ask you how many of you have created a Mortgage Coach total cost video, it'll be less than 50%, which, by the way, in an industry where less than the loan officers have probably for sure less than 10%, maybe less than 5% have, we got a lot of great video leaders. But my goal and Bill's goal here is I want to get 100%. I will be happy when 80% of the Mortgage Coach community is leveraging mobile in an intelligent way. So just to be clear how quick and easy it is, literally, you can go to your Mortgage Coach app, right here. I could click that person, sign in. I can click client, click purchase options, click total cost, and boom, I am recording a video of myself. Boom, 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 boom. So we've made it really easy. And again, you don't have to now upload this into YouTube or upload this into some email server. It's like the link that you gave to the family, it's updated. And then the other part that we did is we made it, and I'm going to walk you through the TRID conversation. Then Bill, I really want you to kind of rip on best practices just in one more minute. But you're able to change that video. So when you look at your sales process right now, every Mortgage Coach member who's using our product right, when you're delivering purchase options, you're providing a TCA with a video. Once they put it in escrow, you can update the numbers in the video. And this is where it starts getting really exciting. Is let's say there's a change of circumstance. Now we're not the disclosure. You still need to redisclose through your LOS, but we're a companion to that where you can now update the video, update the numbers, and have more effective communication. And remember, everybody's in the loop. Husband, wife, father-in-law, realtor if they're invited to the party. And then here's the other piece that's just magic, Bill. Make sure you make note of the next 2 touch points because I think you're going to want to share these with your clients, is we all know that loyalty and referrals, it doesn't start after the loan closes. It starts with how the loan closes. If you open it with a wow and then you close it with a wow, you've got a client for life. So what Mortgage Coach members are doing is they're updating that video. If there are some tweaks to numbers, they're updating it. And now they're using the product. I always say there's 3 levels of a Mortgage Coach. There's using it for the borrower conversation, level 1, using it with the referral partner, level 2, and using it as a communication tool is the level 3 loan officer or mortgage coach. And then the last 2 touch points, a week, a month after it closes. Remember, the goal of most Americans is not just owning a home, it's debt freedom. So to be able to provide them with a video, updated video, again, same link. We're just saying your link's updated. And by the way, we added a feature so that every time you update the video, they'll get an in-app alert that it's been updated. So a month after closing, you're updating the numbers. And let's say they had PMI. You're saying, hey, I updated it. I showed you that if you paid an extra $100 a month, how much faster you could pay off your PMI. Or if your goal is to move up into a bigger home, if you made an extra $200 a month, look how much faster you could buy that move up home. So again, you're delivering advice and value. And then, of course, you're continuing to provide an annual review. Every year, you update the numbers, you update the video, and you're using Mortgage Coach as a communication tool to help people manage their mortgage, to help people achieve whatever their goals are. If their goals are not paying off their home and it's saving money in an asset account, well then you can do that in Mortgage Coach. So Bill, I'm going to take a break here because I've unpacked a lot. Anything you want to add to before we just tactically, literally give people here are the best practices to creating a Mortgage Coach video?
Yeah, Dave. You know what I don't want to do is reiterate what you say. I want to run through what you just went through, sort of my filter, and try and bring that to, the community right now. And the thing that strikes me, there's 2 things that just hit me really, really big, and that is, number one, I just think of myself in my own days, moving through life with my mobile device, right? And for me, I just went through my apps. You double click on an iPhone, you double click on the bottom, and all your apps show up that are open, and you've got to close them every once in a while, right? I'm using Uber, TripIt, and Waze a lot because I travel quite a bit. What ends up happening is, because of that familiarity, I think breeds comfort and my ability to be able to use the apps easily because they're comfortable to me. And I just don't know any other way in the mortgage industry to try and create that connection, right? That if you can connect with people here, you've connected with them in the very way that they're interfacing with the world. And without this, you're trying to almost, it's like sending somebody a fax and saying, hey, pay attention to me. I'm sending you a fax. What? Why would you ever do that in 2015? So that's number one. The second thing that occurs to me is this, Dave, and this is what I wrote down when you were talking, and that is this quote that says, I feel like I know you. The magic of video is that the outcome of video, what I know for a fact is I'll travel to another city and I'm speaking to an audience, and beforehand I try and meet everybody. You know how it is, the typical old speaker's trick, just meet as many people as you can so they're friends, not strangers. And invariably somebody will say, oh yeah, I see your blog or I see your stuff on social. I feel like I know you. Hello? As a coach, clients tell me every day, I'm paying X number of dollars with this realtor for the Zillow leads, and God, they're just awful. They're cold leads, and they don't get back to me, and coach, I know, I need to call them. Compare that to a warm lead, a warm referral, a Brian Buffini, a Joe Stump orchestrated warm lead. What does that feel like? So what if I could create more I feel like I know you moments? Forget everything that Dave just said just for a moment and just follow me on the video connection. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be beautiful. You just have to be you. Because if they met you in a coffee shop or they met you at your office, they would see you. Here's, Dave, let me just transition into video because here's what holds people back. If a guy like me, 60 years old, records video, I'm going to look at that and go, my internal image is about 35. I think I have brown hair and I don't recall these wrinkles, right? I don't know where this came from. And if that hung me up, I would look at it and go, yeah, I don't think I want to use video, or I want to get a little further away from the camera. There, I feel a little better about it now. Stop it. If you look overweight, you're probably overweight. If you look old, you're probably old. Get over it. Use video as the tool that it is to create a connection, a heart connection, an understanding that this is a human being, not just words on a page that you texted out or you sent out via email. That's the game changer with video, let alone everything else that Edge has got. So there's my 2 cents on video. I would like to talk a little bit about framing and lighting and so forth. You tell me when you want to do that.
Yeah, we'll do that in just a second. So the other thing I think it's important for every mortgage coach on the call is there's a lot of different ways of adding videos. The beauty of a mortgage coach video is this is the same thing that you're saying in a voicemail. So it's like, oh, what do I say? What do I say? What do I do? Well, what do you say when you meet with a family and you're netting out their mortgage options? That's what you say.
Yeah.
You don't need a script. I mean, this is between you, the family, and the people around the family that are helping that family make an educated decision. So that's the other beauty. Every time a family gets into mortgage debt, my goal is they get options, they get cost over time, they get some idea and strategy to pay it off faster, and they have a video from you so that they understand what to do. So that's the other thing from a scripting standpoint. So Bill, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time on lighting because, first of all, you and I made this video together. It's 15 minutes long. I mean, we did this on purpose. I think we actually practiced it twice so that we could, actually it's 14 minutes and 24 seconds. And we did learn how to create an effective mortgage coach video. So I don't want to, and we did talk about lighting. We talked about angles. Bill actually made a 4-minute video. So if you go to the Mortgage Coach app and you type in Bill Hart, you're going to get Bill Hart. It's more of a why video. So really we made this, for everybody that's on this call that you're a manager or you've got a team, make sure they watch this and make sure they watch the Bill Hart video because it was really a push as to why and how to do it. Now, Bill, let's spend a minute or two, just even because some folks, let's face it, are not going to watch that 15-minute video. And so let's just spend a minute or two kind of going through this checklist. And some of these are questions that you should be asking yourself. Is it a great mortgage coach video? And some of them are just kind of an analysis. How was the energy? Because you do need to have great energy. So Bill, I'll let you go first. Spend a few minutes, go through, highlight the list. By the way, we will make this available. Well, first of all, it's available. If you want this list, come to our Thursday call or email support. We've got what we call a script kit that has this list. But Bill, provide your color, and then I want to make sure you can jump off this call and get to your next meeting.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm not going to read them through with everybody. They're all solid. Are you using the names? Did you mention the referral source? Did I repeat the top goals of the borrower? It doesn't get any better than this. So folks, just make it a point to do this really and truly because this is the way to execute with excellence. I think it's fantastic. You're weaving in their needs. You're doing the right thing there, and your energy, the best way that I can tell you to bring your energy up is I'm not going to do it now because it'll funkify the video here, but I've got a very desk, right, that moves from seated to standing. I would record as many videos in a standing position as you could because it changes your physiology. I brought Brian Tracy into another company I worked for years ago, and he said when you're leaving voicemail messages back then, 30 years ago, stand up. Your physiology changes. You sound better. It's easy to do, folks. The beauty of Mortgage Coach Edge is you don't have to set it up on a tripod and have lights and make it perfect. This works. Just hold the phone out, right? And it's a selfie. It's a selfie video. I would actually argue that the more casual it is, the more effective it is. You don't have to create a Hollywood production, in my opinion. So that's what I would say. And then just, stand up, keep your energy up, do whatever you have to do, but get to the point. And like Dave said, communicate what you would in a voicemail message. Don't overthink your content. He and I are talking right now. This is not compelling because we're, Dan Rather and Peter Jennings. Oh, did I say Peter Jennings? It is because it's Dave and Bill. We're just talking. So just talk to people. Get over your bad self.
Yeah, and well, I do want everybody on the call to listen to some of their videos once you've gotten used to doing it. The first 5 times, maybe you shouldn't because it's just going to be too painful. At some point, you do want to listen to your videos and get better. But here's the deal. The first 2 to 3 times, it will suck. It will not be easy. You will not be comfortable. You'll even have stage fright, even though it's just you in your room. You're just going to feel like, okay, you know, I mean, it's not fun. After you've done it 20 times, you're pretty good at it. And after you've done it 100 times, and let's face it, everybody on this call, you know, if you're doing 50 loans a month, you're quoting rates 100 times a year or more. And so then think of it. Think of the competitive advantage that you have when you can deliver an amazing, you know, options, cost over time, debt-free strategy, video. Within 1 year, everybody that's a mortgage coach could literally crush every other loan officer that's not. You know, we go against big banks, we look so much better. Realtors will love us so much more. So, you know, this is the game I'm playing, is I want families to make better decisions, and I want mortgage coaches to beat every loan officer that's not. If they're not delivering options, you know, we want to beat them. Families deserve better. So another video that I want everybody to make sure you watch, you know, what I call the Mortgage Coach Trade Playbook. Nikki Groff from Wallach and Wolk just went to school on this, and she took our process and she made it her process. You know, this is actually a quote from Nikki with TRID mortgage coaches powering more critical touch points within the perfect process and helping manage the borrower and realtor experience. So she took our scripts, and by the way, we just added the mortgage coach scripts to the handout. Like if you look in the GoToMeeting, you can just click download, and all of these scripts, you know, what should the realtor say when referring it? So how can a realtor better refer a mortgage coach so that when you get that handoff, you look better. You're not calling you for a pre-qual or a rate quote. They're calling you for a total cost analysis and a video that's going to show you your options. And then as a mortgage coach, before you send the mortgage coach to the family, get 15 to 30 seconds. Just say the right thing for 15 to 30 seconds so that when they get that link, they actually click on it and they actually watch it because you positioned it. You know, by the way, Bill, that's one of the biggest mistakes or challenges I see new mortgage coaches go. They learn how to data entry, use our optimal integration, but they don't know what to say. Yeah. And they're just saying, well, no one watches my videos. By the way, if anyone says no one watches my videos, it's because you're not saying the right thing before you send the video. So guys, I'm going to let Bill jump off while I wrap up for 2 minutes. He's got a client, and one thing you get to know about Bill is he keeps his promises. So Bill, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to do 2 minutes of wrap up, and I know you got a client engagement to get to. So thanks.
My pleasure.
I'll make sure I push everybody into the experience before I leave today.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure, Dave. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Bill. So I am going to do a survey to close this thing out. Actually, I'm going to push that right now before anybody leaves. Let us know what you thought of today's call. But hopefully we impressed upon you there's more reasons than ever to make sure you're delivering options, to make sure you're delivering a total cost, to make sure you're humanizing it with video. You know, by the way, if you're a guest and you're new to the mortgage coach community, please, you know, let us know. We'll be happy to demo you. I also we're going to do a little more of an announcement on this next week. I did want everybody to know that we upgraded the open house experience. So if you created a mortgage coach open house experience, look at it on your mobile device. It's looking hot. The mortgage coach team upgraded the design of how that looks on an iPhone, an Android, an iPad. It looks awesome. So make sure you check that out. We'll do a little bit more on that later. Again, I want to remind you, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Friday at 9 o'clock, we are delivering leadership. For all you sales managers, make sure you start using the Mortgage Coach video on your mobile phone. Again, if we want our loan officers to do this, then we need to do it ourselves. So if you're a producing manager, make sure you're leading by example. And if you're a non-producing manager, you can still create a Mortgage Coach video once a month, you know, sharing a story, using it as a communication tool. So everybody check that out. Also, my last reminder, every single day we're doing training. Make sure you're getting this email. And thanks for everybody joining us. Want to lastly make sure that if you have not checked out the Building Champions experience, I will be there. I've been there 2, 3 years out of the past 5, 6 years that they've done it. No doubt a transformational life experience. So check that out. And lastly, don't miss tomorrow's call with Simon Sinek, and make sure you share this with other folks on your team. Hope it's been a great Tuesday call. Thanks, and have a great day, everybody. Take care.